Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and being a producer of Wrestle Massacre as well as Inside Movies Galore, I am David Strege, and welcome to Delusions of Grandeur. Enjoy the reviews. I certainly did.
Okay, Dave, that's it. Screw you and your college flunkies. I've had enough of this from you and from everyone else. I know what you guys are trying to do. Break me down, drive me out of the force. Well, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a lame prank like this to get Curtis Mooney to throw in his badge, so fuck you. Over.
Did you miss me? I guess not.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Delusions of Grandeur. And here, my name is David Strege. Here I have another review for you. This time it's from 2016, and it's directed by Chow, who directed Kung Fu Hustle, which I have not as yet seen, and Journey to the West, which I have, but I have not seen as well either. But this movie is called The Mermaid, and it was put together with production companies Alpha Pictures, China Film Group Corporation, and He from Shanghai Pictures, Shanghai New Culture Media Group, Shanghai Tianxi Media, Shannan and Light Pictures, Star Overseas, and Zhangshan ZU Culture Media. But it was then put out by Sony Pictures Home Entertainment for the U.S. and Blu-ray. The film has a studded cast of Chow Dang, Sholo, Yugi Zhang, Yung Lin, Hark Su, Zhang Wen, Chris Wu, Shang Li, Zhengyu Lu, Xiling Xiu, Mais Zhang, Lina Matsuoko, Barbie Liu, Zan Zane Zhu, and Bakai. We have a modern day fairy tale, kind of, where I feel like this is like Quentin Tarantino meets Hans Christian Andersen kind of a thing, because I remember reading The Little Mermaid from Hans Christian Andersen, and it's a little bit like a fairy tale, you know. I mean, in here we've got a greedy entrepreneur tycoonist who has evidently taken over the coastal enclave island by the name known as Green Gulf, and how he's taken over it with his corporation is they put a sonar into the ocean and basically destroyed much of the ecosystem, and on this Green Gulf island is a sunken ship that is lying up against the island, and apparently these are the last of the mermaid folk. And it's led by a grandmother-like woman who kind of reminds me of like the grandmother tree in Pocahontas, with her beautiful purple fintail, and a male octopi, a male who has half the body of an octopus and half the body of a man, and then the rest are mermaid and merfolk, mermen and merwomen. And they basically sent an assassin to kill this leader of this corporation that has killed their kind. And you have an interesting uh, situation here because you've got Lu Wan, I think his name is, played by Chow Dang, uh, or Kao Dang. And he's like a double-sided coin, because on the one hand you get a sense that he's greedy, he's all about money, and he's made himself to be this big-ass mean dude who just ends up like using his money to throw around to people. So you get the sense that he has been mean and mean-spirited for quite some time. And Sean, who was played by Yun Lin, ends up showing up at a party. She kind of seems like she's kind of drunk, and she's not really all that beautiful, to be honest. Seems like there's some eyeshadow that or mascara running, and she kind of comes off all creepy. And she gives Juan her number, Lou, and on a whim, he evidently has a relationship with someone who is in business with him, and she's also very beautiful, and she seems to have a jealous nature to her side of things. She wants Lou, and she evidently cannot take it when he's with someone else. He wants him to herself, and she makes herself available to him several times. And at first, he's like getting into the relationship, but there is an interesting way of things that Sean, she has this love for this carnival spot that's like in the middle between her place and where he supposedly lives, and she gets him to come to this carnival, gets him to eat this chicken that she likes, and she gets him to have some fun, take some time out for some fun, and go on these rides that are in this little carnival-like thing. And they end up singing this funny little a Condor Heroes song in there, which I think is reminiscent of the show The Return of the Condor Heroes, which the director Stephen Chow was actually part of the series in the 80s, which is a Japanese Chinese series. And it turns out that the woman, Li Rulan, played by Yugi Zhang, she is funding a scientific experimentation on, well, evidently there is a scientist who has been looking for mermaids, and when she finds out exactly where these mermaids are in fact living, she sends a bunch of military personnel and leads a lynching mob to hunt down these mermaids and mermen and merfolk, mermen and merwomen, and I like this part, even though it's kind of tragic because there is I mean, they could not have expected to be shot at like they were, and that's when we get to see the great power of the grandmother mermaid, the older mermaid that seems to be like their center, and she just the way she's able to control water the way she does. She basically drowns almost everyone that has to do with the lynching, and they somewhat escape. And Sean is harpooned, and she's attached to some buoys, and Lu Wan almost doesn't get to, her in time, and he carries her to the ocean while still being harpooned several times by his spawned lover, and you end up seeing him at the end talking to a a biologist student, and talking to and it's kind of a romantic story. I mean, you you get kind of the old man and the sea kind of a vibe, and I like that. I mean, on the one hand, it's quite violent, quite gruesome, and the takedown is red, perpendicular to what people would actually do. I mean, for a scientific nature, you'd hunt down and kill the last of these kinds of. It's almost like you see whalers go and. I mean, how could you kill a species like this, a species of beauty, and when you know they're like the last of their kind? It's. I mean, there is a beauty and the special effects of this film are spectacular. I mean, the tale of the grandmother character is phenomenal. The I'm as far as the octopus uh, person, he was played by Sholo. Um, he was a different character too, because he was all for um, assassinating Lu Wan, but then he realized that Shan had fallen in love with him, and love transcends all things. You cannot control true love, and I, I get a kick out of the part where he actually goes and tries to be part of the assassination himself, and he ends up sacrificing some of his tentacles for the sake of a meal. And it just his expressions on his face are comical because it kind of reminds me of the part in The Little Mermaid where Sebastian was supposedly going to become part of the main meal, and he's being chased by the chef to be part of that meal. um, I like the fact that the ship was kind of like a roller rink, and they had a slingshot where they could fly from one part through of the ship through a waterfall to escape. I mean, there were some interesting concepts in this film, and I thought it was a great interlude into a modern day fairy tale of the mermaid. I mean, it was enjoyable, and it was funny, and it was comic relief. I mean, it was different, and I think I liked that this was different. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the atmosphere. Enjoyed the people. I even enjoyed the bad dub. I mean, in the very beginning, we get a kind of a Shuckster atmosphere, where you have a tour of this odd, museum of sorts, and it's like a prelude into the mermaid story, because you kind of have a fake a mermaid kind of going on in the very beginning. So you get the sense that people don't really believe in the reality that mermaids do in fact exist. There's even a moment where the billionaire, Lou, he ends up going to the cops after seeing Sean and her family um, try to murder him, and he tells them his story, and they tell it. They listen to him all straight faced, and yet laugh at the story when he's not looking. Evidently, their wives had both had children same day, and all that jazz. So there was some deadpan humor, some dark comedy in here. So it was enjoyable. So thank you for listening. Um, Hopefully you enjoy the film. Check the film out yourself. Let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, this was I did not expect what I was going into it. This the effects. I know that much of this was screened. I mean, you could tell that much of the ship was a skating rink, but I love the look of their lair. It was phenomenal. I enjoyed it. Thank you for listening, and just let me know down in the comments what you thought. I mean, I'd love for you to come back and tell me what you thought of the film. So thank you and enjoy.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see?